Good morning, and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News. Good morning, and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. My name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols, and I will be your host. So good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Some like to say happy hump day, but this is Women and Wellness Wednesday. So there will be a few women that I will be highlighting this morning on the program, and it is open mic. So if you would like to be a part of the broadcast this morning, please direct message me on X, or you can send an email to unfilteredvisionnews@gmail.com. And with that, let's get into our Kids Corner.
In a small, peaceful village surrounded by mountains and forests lived a boy named Liam. He was small for his age, but his heart was big and full of courage. One day, a fierce storm hit the village. The river overflowed, and the village was in danger of flooding. Everyone was scared and didn't know what to do. Liam knew he had to do something. He remembered the old legend about a hidden dam that could stop the floodwaters. Without wasting a moment, he ran towards the forest. After a long and difficult journey, Liam found the hidden dam. It was old and broken, but he didn't give up. He started to repair it with all his strength. With great effort, Liam managed to fix the dam just in time. The floodwaters were stopped, and the village was saved. The villagers couldn't believe their eyes when they saw what Liam had done. From that day on, Liam was known as the brave little hero. He showed everyone that courage and determination can make a big difference, no matter how small you are.
Yeah, and sometimes we have to remind our young people, because you're a little bit shorter than adults sometimes, depending on some of y'all grow a little bit faster these days, but it's still just looking at that reflection of, even if you're young or even if you're small, you can still make a difference. Don't stop being determined because you're young or because you may be small in stature. And you think, oh, nobody's going to listen to me, it's not going to go well. Don't ever give up and always try. And with that, let's get into honoring God with our bodies. So God, please guard our mind and our thoughts. God, help me to fix my thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. So I will think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. God, please protect our ears and help us to listen to your voice. God, help me to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. God, please protect our eyes from sin's damage. God, I make a covenant with my eyes not to look lustfully. God, please speak life over our mouths. God, set a guard over my mouth. Lord, keep watch over the doors of my lips. God, please help our hands to serve generously. God, help me to do good to everyone, and especially to those who belong to our family in the faith. God, please protect our reproductive organs. God, help us to honor you with purity. God, help me to honor you with my body. And God, please protect our feet and help us walk along your path. God, let your word be a lamp for our feet and a light on our path. So that is what we say daily here. If you are new to Unfiltered Vision News, welcome. And for those who are, you know, I want to say my ride or dies, thank you for joining me this morning. And sincerely, she says, good morning, founder. Good morning to you too. And Patty Cakes says, happy hump day. Happy hump day to you too, Patty Cakes. And thank you so much for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News for this Women in Wellness Wednesday. So with that, I know it's like, ooh, where do I start? Well, you know what? I just want to give a little shine to some women before we get into it because there's a lot to get into. I'm just saying the news cycle is crazy. But there are some women that I would definitely want to recognize. And that well, I want to start out with Pamela Denise Long. You know, we had her on here a couple of weeks ago, and she is running for Senate in the state of Illinois for this 2026 cycle. I want to say their primary is going to be in May. So she needs as many donations as she can get. She's the issue she's tackling: economic growth, parental rights, immigration and secure borders, safety and criminal justice, strong men and boys, health and well being, right? So this is her. And, these are, again, some of the issues that she's going to also be tackling: birthright citizenship, academic DEI be abolished, mass immigration and Black Americans, Republicans, and the Black vote, right? Just different areas and issues that she's planning on tackling. And I know, I can definitely say she is one that wants a proper SAVE Act. I know there's been 2 iterations of it right now. But the biggest thing about the SAVE Act is that we want to make sure that our elections are secure. Other countries with less technology than we have secure elections. Why don't we? I think that's the bigger question that I want to ask. But again, definitely check out Pamela Denise Long, and she is at Long for Senate 2026. That's Long, LONG, for Senate, FOR, Senate 2026.com. So I just wanted to, give her a shout out this morning. All right, y'all, it's time to get into it. It's time. It is time to get into it. I don't know if I want to start with anything on the Epstein files. That's how I'm supposed to start the morning. I know we're just going to jump into it. Now, I told you guys, I was like, I don't really want to personally get into it, but there are some things that I'm kind of researching in the background that I might bring forward this week that I've seen that I haven't seen a lot of people cover it. Some they have, but one I came across and I was like, that's a very interesting email. And I haven't seen anybody really cover that. So I just, like, again, I'm just researching. I'm researching the stuff that's kind of on the outer perimeter and really getting a better understanding of these files, because there are a lot of people that they're claiming are in the files, redacted, right? That are of, obviously, they're of high esteem. And some people are stepping down. In other countries, they're leaving their positions because they've been implicated in the files. In some countries, they're going after these people. My problem is our government and several other world governments have known about this for years, not these past couple of months since Trump's been in office, because they act like this is just so brand new. And, oh my gosh, no, you've known about this for decades. Okay. And now everybody's, having a crash out moment. But these people have been allowed to continue their illicit activities, carte blanche, with no repercussions. No one stopped them. No one shut it down. Just because we're finding out what happened doesn't mean that people still aren't getting abused and things aren't still happening to people. What happened to the children? The hundreds of thousands of missing children. Yeah, we don't want to talk about that. Yeah, and this is after Jeffrey Epstein met his demise. What about the babies? All those missing children that came over the border. Oh, they were just, kind of useful, right? To some of these people that are walking around. They're not in prison. They're still walking around right now, today. Yeah. Again, like I've said, your faux outrage is outstanding because nobody's in prison yet. So we'll have to see where this leads. But I'm going to play a video from Melanie King. It's a good summary because she's been following this for a few weeks. So she's going to drop some different things. And I thought this video would definitely a little bit appropriate, right? Just to kind of get you guys spun up on what's been going on. And thank you again for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News.
This rabbit hole continues to get darker and darker, guys. It says Epstein emails discuss the Hadid sisters' modeling career. He is disgusting. He alleges they did sexual acts and their father paid modeling agencies to attain their success as models. Epstein said because they followed directions. It's that simple. Now they have an image of it, but you guys know I have the Jmail. I'm going to show you the image, but I just want to show you guys and verify that this is part of the files. Now, like I told you, you can easily pull this up. It is jmail.world. It did not work on Chrome for me. I had to put it into Safari. But you see here, I just did a little bit of a search. It says the father paid the agency. How do the Hadid sisters become models and make so much money? I don't understand. It goes in a lot of things, but look at this. So it also links to the original document, but we can see it better in this picture that they have on the post that's on X. So as you can see, it's from Jeffrey Epstein. He had multiple email addresses. This one is his JEE vacation one. It says because they follow directions, it's that simple. It says if they can, why couldn't I? I think is he talking to another person who wants to be a model? I'm not sure. It says not relevant to your issue. From whom? This is the real question. No, seriously. And then it goes on. This is so weird. It says, guys, it says in the butt. That's what it says. It says, okay, so if I start at the bottom, it's a better way to read it. Let me just read it. Here it is. It says, how did the Hadid sisters become models and make so much money? And he puts question, I don't understand. I think he's being facetious. But then it says, the father paid the agency. And then the person says, no. Then he says, there are too many girls giving BJs. Agreed. So what did they do? In the butt. No, seriously? From who? This is the real question. Not relevant to your issue. If they can, why couldn't I? Because they follow directions. It's that simple. Guys, we are dealing with the most disgusting, depraved things. This is actually this is bad, but this is some of the lighter things that we've seen in light of the files, eating and sacrificing babies to Moloch. Jeffrey Epstein only ate jerky. Thousands of times mentioning jerky. This is not beef jerky, and them exchanging recipes that Jeffrey may start eating regular food again, but he always has to have his jerky. He flies internationally, it has to be FedEx. Some are step in cold storage and like talking about, I don't like this recipe of the jerky. It's all this jerky in other people's houses when he travels. So can you bring his bags of jerky? Can you get this jerky? Guys, are we really talking about beef jerky? Absolutely not. What are we talking about? Most likely human flesh, most likely baby flesh, because that was the most tender. They talk about a baby's intestines tasting like talking about cream cheese. They would have the baby's feet, breast milk, and then guys, it's just, I don't even want to talk about certain things right now because it is absolutely disgusting. You get the idea. And plus, I'm going to have to probably just unredacted show photos, videos, and some of the things that are going on under membership, something that the algorithm won't hit and is just behind a wall. So then therefore YouTube will allow me to put it up. But do you see where this is going? Guys, it's touching every facet of life, government, celebrities, Hollywood. We already knew all this, but just to see the details and to see what they're talking about in this, and for a father, allegedly, we don't know if this is fact, but this is what's coming out. I know the Hadids are mentioned multiple times. Their fathers mentioned in the and some of the exchanges in the emails, but just to see what a father would do. But we've already seen these. A lot of these people were selling their children to the elite for favors, to curry favor. They were exchanging their children, and I mean young children. But this is nothing new to especially those of us who followed Pizzagate.
New photos show that Jeffrey Epstein was a Disney adult. In fact, in one of the latest Epstein file drops, Jeffrey Epstein can be seen photographed at Disney World a number of times. Now, this isn't necessarily too shocking considering the fact that Jeffrey Epstein was a famous pedophile, and he also lived part-time in Florida in West Palm Beach. However, if you look beyond the photos that are being reported on by the mainstream media, you will see that Epstein was at Disney World with a very, very young child. For example, check out these two photographs that were taken at Disney World on the right side of the top image, right here and here. You can see Epstein clearly interacting with the child, and then what we can assume is that same child is seen sitting on Epstein's lap on the Lolita Express, potentially later that day or at the end of the trip, but according to reporting, the two are connected and are more than likely the same girl. You see the narrative being pushed by the mainstream media and politicians would have you believe that most of Epstein's victims were older. Typically, you see stories about victims that were 17, 18, 16 when they were trafficked. What we don't see the media talking about, though, is the extremely young victims of Epstein. I mean, one of Epstein's youngest victims, as reported by a fellow victim, was a 7-year-old boy, which I have seen absolutely zero news stories about. And it makes sense that Epstein would head to Disney World. And I wish we had context with these images, because with the recent DOJ FBI file drops, they are simply releasing photographs, documents, stuff like this, and providing zero context. So we don't really know who the little girl was. We don't know why Epstein was at Disney World. We don't know when he was at Disney World. But based on the files, he seems to have gone multiple times. There are other photos that I could have put in here, but I didn't really feel like going back through the thousands of files to find them. But there are just photos of him walking around in like the parking lot in Magic Kingdom area. If you want to hear me talk about each and every file in one of the recent drops, I just released a 2-hour-long video on my YouTube channel, The Conspiracy Files, showing things that the mainstream media will not show you, which include things like redacted CSAM images that were all throughout the files, images of potential evidence like broken glasses, eerie things that I found like smiling babies pictured in the sun, and so much more.
Now, the connection to Disney goes far deeper. If you notice, I reported in the last video about the CEO who owns a gaming company. This game, they have Call of I think is it Call of Duty? I can't remember if it's Call of Duty, but Candy Crush. Talking to Epstein, all types of exchanges with that. You have to go back and look at my last video that I posted to get that information. But listen to this. This describes these people that worship Moloch, the god of child sacrifice, and sacrifice children, how that Walt Disney Corporation has anything to do with medical and British science publication. They hired Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, as the editor. Now remember also that Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, well, guess what? Owned McGraw-Hill, which published the majority of our school books, even growing up and to this day. So you see the indoctrination, and I showed you in the last video as well how Life Touch, which pretty much does all of the school pictures from even when I was younger up through now, and how that is tied to Epstein. Again, that's in the last video. I'm not going to rehash it here, but take a listen to this.
These are people that worship Moloch and sacrifice children. I can't sugarcoat that. Okay, how is it possible that Walt Disney Corporation has anything to do with biomedical and scientific British publication. And here's how that interlinks. It's just crazy. After World War II, Charles Darwin's grandson and Fleming, the guy who discovered penicillin, they went to the British government and they said, hey, we think you need to improve biomedical and scientific publishing house. And so they said, no problem. They combined these two publishing houses. And guess who they put in as the editor? This is where we start getting into the Disney realm. Okay, they hired as the editor of this Robert Maxwell. Now, Robert Maxwell has nothing to do with medical education, right, or scientific publication. But it turns out that the owner of the largest scientific publishing house in England, all during the war and before and after, it was the intelligence services, owned their publishing. So now they hire Robert Maxwell, who was a proven, admitted spy for the British during World War II, but he was also a Mossad agent because he's buried on the Mount of Olives. Who's Robert Maxwell? He's Ghislaine Maxwell's dad, okay? Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, the Disney Corporation, it turns out, his son is named Robert Maxwell Iger because he was a best buddy of Robert Maxwell. And then you have the whole issue of Ghislaine Maxwell with Jeffrey Epstein and the whole pedophile problem. It turns out the Disney Corporation has cruise ships that would go and do diving things off St. James or the neighboring island. It's all big one incestuous thing, but one of the things that flows through everything, it shows the pedophile connection to all of this. So who they are people that have big enough money for universal censorship, big enough money to come after, doctors all over the world, take over the system to come after us all over the world. And they're connected heavily by funding from pedophilia. And the even more evil thing that they don't talk about is body parts. Is the number one money in the world is selling body parts.
Bob Iger, did you see that? There was a lot of information to take in. But look at this. Look at this. Disney cruise ship. Look. They tried to debunk this, but no, people have been getting this information, pulling out old cruise manifests. It won't show as big on here. But it says afterwards, because this is one of the stops they would make. Afterwards, it's bigger over here, sorry. Make your way to your second snorkel stop, Little St. James Island. That is Epstein's literal island. Do you see how we haven't even cracked the surface on any of this? Now, I want to show you this in full. I want to show you this full segment. I'm going to try to make it bigger. But this is a full 2001 VH1 segment glorifying Jeffrey Epstein while showing Epstein's allegiance with Bill Clinton and Kevin Spacey. Is that not wild? Is that not wild? They did a full glowing thing. We're going to watch the whole thing in a few seconds. Now, before we play that, I want to just tell you about how you can support the work that we have going on here. Going over to my merch, I have designs for men and women, but this one, you can see it a little better in the black. It says, "No weapon formed against me, okay, shall prosper." I for children. Again, like the school books, the photography, owning this Jeffrey Epstein owned Justice. Remember that store? I mean, gaming. Everything you can think of. And then we see these ties to Disney, but then they are pushing him forward like he is just this great guy in a VH1 segment, influencing the youth as well. This is how sick these people are. And it was right under our noses the whole time. But yet, there's no one to arrest, nothing to see here, folks. Are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding? Like, this is outrageous on every level with everything that's been exposed. Guys, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell. I will continue to bring you.
And excuse me. Even to that, I remember watching Alex Jones even before Jeffrey was finally arrested and incarcerated in 2019. He had shown promotional videos where they were almost like stewardesses, they would promote the Lolita Express. These were young kids. You could tell they were teenagers. They were not women. And they were promoting how to fly. And it was out there. I don't know what those videos are now, but those videos were out there. But it's just so crazy how Disney, right? People think about the mouse and how innocent it is and how wonderful Disney is, and yeah, how evil Disney is. And they've been talking about that for a long time, about the tunnels and the canals under the park where they were trafficking children. And that's still yet to be fully investigated, but I'm pretty sure it's going to come up in the files. But what you going to do about Disney, Congress? Huh? What you going to do? What you going to investigate? I mean, DeSantis, he tried to give him a hard time. Then he backed off, right? Because people were like, well, Disney's going to do this to you. Well, Disney's involved in pedophilia. And it's out there now. It's out there now. So now, what you doing? Are we still watching the movies? Are we still going to the theme park? Are you still going to buy the merchandise? What you doing? I'm just saying. I know the world is getting smaller, and there's like, can we do anything else? Because evil is so prevalent, right? My husband and I were talking about that this morning. We were talking about different music artists. I was like, and this is why I listen to jazz. I was like, sometimes the jazz songs do, they're the instrumental version of something, that a song that has lyrics to it. But some stuff, I just listen to music, not songs, just music, because everything has become so corrupt, and that's sad. But that's just, unfortunately, the world that we are living in, the unfortunate parts. So again, I wanted to show that video in particular because I really do like Melanie. I like how she summarizes things, but it's gotten you spun up to kind of where we're at right now. So again, I went down a small rabbit hole, not too deep, but I wanted to bring up a movie that you guys may want to check out. It's called Eyes Wide Shut. It was done a long time ago, and it was actually when Tom Cruise was married to Nicole Kidman. She's obviously, they're not together anymore, and they've married different people. But one thing I'm going to be looking for, I'm gonna check out and see if Tom Cruise is in the file. Just saying, jmail.world. I have access to it. I've pulled it up on my tablet. I've been going through some different things, like I said. But, allegedly, I'm not trying to demonize Tom because I know he was a part of Scientology while he was more than likely filming, right? But I want to see if either one of them is in the Epstein files, because that movie deals with satanic worship, and it also deals with human trafficking of young girls and the pedophilia that has gone on with young girls. That was dealt with in that movie. So in my opinion, that movie was more of a documentary than it was for entertainment purposes. And it's very dark. Very dark. So it's one of those things you kind of have to gear up for it. Like, ooh, can I deal with this? Because it's one of those things, once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. Right. And, if you want to just put it in Grok for Grok to give you the synopsis so you don't have to watch the visual, so it just kind of pares it down for you, hey, have at it. But it does expose the world around us that we don't see, right? And I want to say they call it I'm going to call it the invisible world, but we all know this is a spiritual battle. So it's a spiritual warfare going on that's around us. And for those of us that do follow God, that are Christians, we can kind of see some things going on, but some things we don't see. And I don't think that a lot of Christians that, like going to Disneyland and like these things, they would never think of how dark things could be with Disney, but it is. And you keep businesses afloat with your dollar. So, it's on you. Again, this is a spiritual battle. What you gonna do? I should say create something else, because Disney is tainted. I worked for the mouse, but I didn't work for Disney. I worked with Disney. I was contracted through a different company to do their advertising. You know, I look back on it, it's like, wow, I'm grateful that nothing happened to my children. Right? I'm glad that God kept them safe and covered, because something could have happened to them. Just saying. So with that, we're going to get into our next video. This is going to make you kind of laugh. I don't know if it's going to make you laugh in a good or bad way, but I think it's going to give you a little bit of a, what? What are you talking about? So let me find it really quick. Yeah, there it is. Here we go.
The whole point of the democracy is to make it possible for people to vote, because it's the people who get to decide the policies. And Republicans talk nonstop about protecting women. And you'd think, if they really believe this, that this would be a non-starter for them, because it disenfranchises so many women. But as we have seen with the Epstein files over this past year, what they say and what they do are two different things.
Okay. You know what I find super fascinating about this? Don't you remember when the Democrats, you know, their whole thing was like they couldn't define a woman? They didn't know what a woman was. But now they're putting women up as the issue. Republicans aren't going to protect women. Now you know what a woman is? Wait, hold on. Now you know what a woman is. Wait, hold on. Now you know what a woman is? Now you know. When someone who's sitting in our Supreme Court right now couldn't even give a definition, you know I got to play this. Y'all know I got to run this back. Hold on. Wait a minute. Y'all got to see this.
You provide a definition for the word woman.
Can I provide a definition? No,
Yeah,
I can't.
you can't?
Not in
Okay.
this context.
So you
I'm not a
believe the
biologist.
meaning of the word woman is so unclear and controversial that you can't give me a definition?
Senator, in my work as a judge, what I do is I address disputes. If there's a dispute about a definition, people make arguments, and I look at the
All right.
law and I decide. So I'm not.
The fact that you can't give me a straight answer about something as fundamental as what a woman is underscores the dangers of the kind of progressive education that we are hearing about.
Yeah. You can't define what a woman is, but you got an argument when it comes to Republicans and the SAVE Act. So hold on. I got another one for you. I mean, this is wild. This is truly, truly wild.
As a woman.
Can you tell me what a woman is? Because clearly you're really confused, and that's okay. It's okay to be confused.
Well, I'm confused. That's why I'm asking.
Okay.
So if you were to define it, what would it?
I'm really sorry for the loss of your brain cells.
You can't even define what a woman is, and you're saying I've lost brain cells?
You're the one who's asking, idiot. All right.
What is a woman?
Hold on. And that's how they win arguments, y'all. That is their definition of winning the argument. I'm not going to answer you. I'm going to, basically be extremely condescending, blow you off, and then act like I have the moral high ground and walk away with no answer. The question is pending. Okay? Because she didn't answer the question. She didn't even give a rebuttal. I'm just saying.
Does it really matter?
So could I be a woman if I wanted to be?
Yes.
Okay.
A woman is a person who identifies as a woman.
Okay.
That's the answer.
It's that simple.
Yep.
That simple.
It's that simple.
We're at the Women's March. What is a woman? Everyone is a woman?
You know what?
Shut the f up.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Everyone is a woman. Do you agree everyone is a woman?
They should be.
What is a woman?
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm gay, man.
Your best definition.
I honestly don't know what to say.
What is a woman?
Yes.
Power.
Power.
Woman is power.
Can I be a woman or is it more complex?
I mean, if you go through the steps, of course you can.
Okay.
Women is everyone.
Come on. Come on. Break it down. Yeah.
For your rights. Get up, stand up.
I love it. Stand up for your rights. What is a woman?
What is a woman? I'm holding the hand of one right now. We're here to protect our rights.
A woman can be simply as if someone defines themselves as a woman. You know, I feel in my head I am a woman, bodily I'm a woman. Maybe it doesn't matter if, you know, you're intersex or transgender or you were just born simply female.
What is a woman? How would you define it?
Hold on. He said, or if you were born simply female. Okay, look, before we finish going through this video, because I know it's just like, you know, pulling different conversations. But look, a woman has a womb. Okay? She's got a uterus. She has ovum, which are eggs. She's got a vagina. That's, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's biologically. And a woman can reproduce a baby. She got to have a man, though, right? And a man, he's got, you know, a penis, scrotum, sperm. Like, that's the man parts. Sorry for little ears out there, but that's the male part. And that's what defines us as male and female. Men are physically stronger than us. They just are, because of the testosterone in their bodies. We both have estrogen and testosterone, both male and female, but the levels of it determine who you are. When you have more estrogen and you have the biological parts that I explained as a woman, you're a woman. When you have more testosterone and you have those biological parts, you're a man. You can't swap off the parts because men cannot produce ovum, which are eggs. Women cannot produce sperm. Period. You cannot just automaton this thing and switch out body parts and act like, oh, I'm a woman now. No, you're not a woman because you put on a dress, a wig, and some eyeshadow. Okay? No. Because you softened your voice and you softened your face. No. There are a lot of people who are transsexuals, and I will call them transsexuals because that's what they have become. They transition sexually. They still do not have the capacity to be what they thought they could change into. So a woman trying to become a man, she'll never produce sperm. You will never have a male body part. Even if they put a prosthetic on you, it's a prosthetic. It is not a real biological part. You will never fully be a man, period. And vice versa for a man trying to transition to a woman. It's not biologically possible, but they're still moving forward with it, right? So at this point, you're just creating eunuchs, people who have no sex at all because they've cut off the original body parts, trying to put something on that won't work. And you can't go back. Now, there are detransitioners. They try to go back as much as they can, but it depends on how far they went the first time. You know what I mean? It's a sick process. How did we get here? You know how we got here? Being nice and saying, it's okay. Let's kumbaya this thing, instead of saying, absolutely not. You're not going to take pills. We're not going to do surgeries. We're not doing this. We're going to figure this out together, because you have gone down a bad road if you think we can chop you up and put you back together again and it's going to work. It's not. But that's where we are. Okay. That is exactly where we are. Now, I want to take a brief moment to just say good morning to Spud McKenzie. Good morning. How are you? And Bloodpock says, what is Pizzagate? We'll get into it. I'll call you. Okay. I'll send you some links so you can get spun up. Actually, you know what? One better on you. Follow Melanie King on YouTube. She's got a good breakdown section of what Pizzagate is. And this is something that did happen, and Pizzagate is in the files. And initially, when it was brought up, they were stating that there were tunnels under this particular pizza parlor, right? That was the alleged accusation. And then it was all denied and this, that, and the other. Now, pizza and the description of pizza is a form of language that the pedophiles came up with. It's for them to talk in code. So when they would say certain toppings of what would be pizza, it was actually referring to a child. So they were ordering children just like you would order pizza on a menu, and they were using pizza as their cover. When they discovered that everybody else knew what Pizzagate was, that's kind of why it's called Pizzagate, because it kind of opened up, they started using jerky, which is human flesh, because jerky can be kept dry. If anybody out here has bought jerky, you know, like you'll go to like a gas station or whatever, you know, grocery store, it's kept out room temperature. You don't need to keep it cold. The only place that I've ever had cold jerky was at Buc-ee's. And that's because they keep it in a, like where they keep their donuts and different things like that. And I'm not saying it was ice cold. I'm just saying it was kept. And then they, you know, they bag it up for you and they weigh it and all that stuff. So I was like, oh, kind of different, right? But I know it wasn't human meat. I know it was just like regular jerky because it was still at that kind of room temperature coldness. It wasn't like, you know, super cold like you would have to keep beef or chicken or something like that, like an actual flesh type meat. So hopefully that broke it down for you, Blood Clock. Thank you so much. And she says good morning, and good morning to you too. Yeah, so let's finish these interesting definitions of what a woman is.
So we're all skeletons walking around with brains, and so a woman is just a different organ hanging on the skeleton.
You tell me.
Well, I'm the one asking the questions.
You know what a woman is?
I do.
It's a strong woman is a woman.
We support all women, including trans women.
So what is a woman?
I support all women.
But what is a woman?
A woman is whoever believes that they are a woman on the inside.
So if I believe I'm a woman, does that mean I'm a woman?
Yes, it does.
Even though I have a...
Women have uteruses. Goodbye.
But what's the definition? What is a woman?
A woman is a being of her own creation.
So can I be a woman?
Possibly.
Okay.
I don't know, you tell me. What's your identity?
I identify as he, she, or she, her.
Go for you.
What are my pronouns?
Whatever the you want.
I just told you. What are my pronouns?
She, her.
All right.
Later.
It's that easy?
A woman is a person that calls herself a woman.
Okay. And it's as simple as that?
Yep.
A woman is kind of more like a shadow. It's more defined by the individual who owns it. Okay. As in, it can be in the rough shape of something, like as if a human being, but it's more of an individual thing than it is a overall dictionary definition.
So if you wanted to be a woman, if you woke up and said, I'm a woman, does that make you one?
I guess, yeah, if you manifest, you know.
Come on. You gotta dance with me. What is a woman?
What is a woman? I can't say that on whatever you're recording.
Does sex?
That's not a real thing, is it?
It's just a paintbrush.
That's what I thought. If you identify as a woman, you're a woman.
A woman. That guy's possessed. A woman. Can you tell me more? Give me a definition.
I don't know. I don't know how to.
You don't know what a woman is?
It could have many definitions. I don't know.
What is a woman?
That sounds like a loaded.
Yeah, don't talk.
Okay, these people are walking the planet. They obviously look old enough to have graduated from high school, maybe even college. They're working jobs. Like, what is going on? It's crazy. But I had to show it. Okay? Because if I said it, y'all be like, oh, come on. Nah, it's not that bad. It's probably worse. Okay? More than likely worse. Now I'm going to skip over some things because I needed to get into, he is a representative. I'm not sure. I think he's from California. I think he is. He's House Rep from California. And his name is Representative Ro Kahana. And you may have seen him. He recently did I don't want to call it a speech, but he spoke on the House floor regarding the Epstein files. He's actually working with Thomas Massie to get more files released, which I'm like, okay, I can respect that. Thank you for doing that part. But I wanted to just show you what he said.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday, Congressman Massey and I went to the Department of Justice to read the unredacted Epstein files. We spent about 2 hours there, and we learned that 70 to 80% of the files are still redacted. In fact, there were 6 wealthy, powerful men that the DOJ hid for no apparent reason. When Congressman Massey and I pointed this out to the Department of Justice, they acknowledged their mistake, and now they have revealed the identity of these 6 powerful men. These men are Salvatore Navora, Zorab Mikoladze, Leopig Leonor, Nicola Caputa, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, CEO of Dubai Ports World, and billionaire businessman Leslie Wexner, who was labeled as a co-conspirator by the FBI. Now, my question is, why did it take Thomas Massie and me going to the Justice Department to get these 6 men's identities to become public? And if we found 6 men that they were hiding in 2 hours, imagine how many men they are covering up for in those 3 million files. But the story gets worse. The reality is that Donald Trump's FBI scrubbed these files in March, long before Thomas Massie and I passed the Epstein Transparency Act.
Thank you, Mr.
Now, my bill is clear. The Epstein Transparency Act requires them to unredact those FBI files. And yet the Justice Department said to me and to Congressman Massie, we just uploaded whatever the FBI sent us. And guess what? The FBI sent scrubbed files. That means the survivor's statement to the FBI, naming rich and powerful men who went to Epstein's island, who went to his ranch, who went to his home and raped and abused underage girls or saw underage girls being paraded, they're all hidden. They're all redacted. It's a little bit of a farce. They're inviting all the members of Congress to go to see the Department of Justice, quote-unquote, unredacted files, but they've got all redacted files from the FBI. And it's not the fault of the Justice Department attorneys. They were just told upload things that Donald Trump's FBI had already scrubbed. It's a blatant violation of the Epstein Transparency Act, but it also asks a fundamental question. Who are they protecting? Why are they protecting these rich and powerful men, people I call part of the Epstein class? Why are we in a country where there is no elite accountability for people who do the most heinous things? You have in England the king now calling for an investigation and possible prosecution of his own brother. You have in Norway the princess who no longer has support to be the queen. And yet in the United States of America, we have someone in the cabinet, Howard Lutnick, who is all over these Epstein files, who allegedly had business with Epstein after he was convicted of pedophilia, and he still is in the cabinet. We need to ask ourselves, are we in America going to have elite accountability? Are we going to call on rich and powerful people who broke the law or cavorted with a pedophile, a convicted pedophile? Are we going to call them to account? Are we going to have prosecutions for billionaires who went to this island and either raped underage girls or saw underage girls being raped and didn't say anything? Are we going to have investigations? I'll tell you what this is about. It's not just about the 1,200 survivors. It's about 2 tiers of justice in America. It's about people who can accumulate wealth and power and don't have to care about the rest of America. They have destroyed so much of this country. Income inequality is at a 60-year high. Workers' salaries are less than they have been for 75 years as a part of GDP. Somehow this country seems to be working for the rich and powerful, but it's not working for ordinary working class Americans. I say enough. It's time to begin with accountability for the Epstein class. Hold them in front of Congress, those people who visited the island or did business with Epstein after he was a convicted pedophile. Investigate them, prosecute them, and let's return to democratic accountability in the United States of America. Let's return to one system of justice in the United States of America. Let's return to a place where every American has a stake in this country.
Okay, now, he has set the bar. He has set the bar for the moral high ground. Okay? With his whole chest. What you didn't say is that these people need to be put in prison, come before Congress, be investigated. Okay, where's the indictment? Where's the sentencing and sending them to prison? You didn't say that. You left that part out because you're like, if you give people just enough, they'll feel that justice has been given. Again, this man set it up. The moral high ground. Now let me show you another video where he was actually questioned by someone in his district.
We discussed at the time the viral video of Tish Hyman, who is a black lesbian who encountered a male body in the women's locker room, a naked male body, and because she objected, she was the one banned from the gym. Well, she has been attending events with Democrat politicians and politely asking them why they back policies that put women in danger. Here she is with Roy Kana.
Women, including myself, are being harassed by naked men in our locker rooms. In my case, the man in my locker room was a convicted domestic abuser who broke his wife's jaw so badly she needed surgery. Why issue a sensational warning about hypothetical genital checks when the real harassment of girls is happening right here under our current laws that allow men to self-ID into our spaces?
That has nothing to do, in my view, with someone who is trans and who identifies as a woman, saying that they can be using the locker room or bathroom which they identify with. That is their right. Now, if that person, if I could just finish.
Hold on. Mr. Moral High Ground just said pedophiles need to be held to an account and there shouldn't be a 2-tier system. And now he's like, well, they should be able to go into the space that they identify with. What? Yeah, this is the same person. The same person that just said that pedophiles shouldn't have a 2-tier system. Well, guess what? Men that identify as women, they are pedophiles. They are very sick people. They're sick mentally. Because, see, a lot of these women have been raped by these men. So they're rapists too. And the ones that are under 18 that don't even understand what biological sex is because they haven't even had sex yet. And you're giving them puberty blockers, trying to make them believe that they're girls when they're boys. They're just being abused by their parents. Okay? But you're saying it's okay for men to go into women's spaces after you just had this whole moral high ground speech about pedophilia. This is somebody I don't want in Congress. You got to go. And if I'm saying you got to go, then 90% of you have to go. Because you believe this stuff. You believe that, hey, people shouldn't have to go to jail, but they at least have to come before Congress so it looks like we're doing something. You're not doing anything. If you're not removing these people and you're acting like Epstein just happened, it didn't just happen. This has been going on for close to 30 years with this guy. And that's what we know about. He's been investigated since the early 2000s. It's 2026. What was he doing in the 90s? Come on now. Really? And we're just supposed to sit here like nothing to see here. I'm calling for his seat. If there is someone in his district in California, they need to primary him and run him out of his seat. He does not have the moral high ground in this position. Let's continue.
Oh, it's so frustrating, Coach. He just doesn't get it. It's all about self-ID with these clowns. He even wants male bodies competing in women's sport as long as those male bodies identify as female. He completely missed the point there because that individual did have a history of violence, terrible violence, but according to Ro Khanna, what he was doing in that locker room was perfectly fine because he identifies as a woman and he wasn't beating anyone up at that time, so he was entitled to be there.
Deserves a medal. I think if he truly didn't get it, it would almost be better. I think the reality is he does get it.
Yeah.
And he's being a coward. He's being a complete coward because he is hiding behind the legal argument that there's no legal remedy for arresting somebody before they've committed an assault just because they entered the wrong bathroom. If a male enters a female bathroom, there's no legal recourse. So he's hiding behind that technicality rather than being bold and brave and saying what we all know is real, protecting women's spaces. He has 2 kids. One is a daughter. I think she's 8 or 10 years old. I'm sure he would have a big problem if boys are competing in sports with her. I don't know this, but I would posit that that's a safe bet to make. Or if she found herself in a public bathroom where an intact male was in there. So he's just paying lip service because that is what the Democrat position is.
I don't even know at this stage whether they genuinely believe these positions or it's just part and parcel of the ideology they've signed up to, so they've got to mouth these ridiculous notions without actually believing them. It really doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's worse. I mean, it's
because
even worse
the people being impacted, like Tish, it doesn't matter if the politicians implementing these crazy policies actually believe in them or not, because there are victims of it every day.
And I hope she gets louder, because for a black lesbian Democrat voter from California to become a spokesperson for the size, that is something they probably didn't have on their bingo card.
Exactly.
Absolutely, they didn't have it on their bingo card. Now, I did like a Google search on Ro Khanna, and I asked, is he a proponent for the LGBTQ community? So I have it on my tablet here, and it says, yes, Representative Ro Khanna is a strong proponent of transgender rights and equality. As a member of the Congressional LGBTQ Equality Caucus and the Transgender Equality Task Force. So he's on caucuses and task force to promote this stuff while at the same time talking about pedophilia. What? Huh? You just created a 2-tier system with this LGBTQ cult nonsense. Because now you're saying that it's okay for men to be in women's sports, and it's okay for intact men that believe they're women to be in women's spaces. What is wrong with you? We need to start demonizing these people. I don't care. Somebody needs to run for his seat. Let me finish. He advocates for ending discrimination, supporting gender-affirming care, which means making people into eunuchs, and protecting LGBTQ individuals, emphasizing that equality is a non-negotiable value. I need you out of office. And anybody that believes this nonsense like you. This needs to be abolished in this country. Abolished. And never to return. Ever. Get rid of it. It is a cult. Straight up. You saw the video. People couldn't even answer and give a basic definition of a woman because they're in the cult. Because if you can come up with the definition of a woman, oh my gosh, hair on fire. You have a brain. You're not in the hive mind and believing that men can be women and men should be in everything that a woman is, then what are we here for? What are we doing? It's crazy. It's insane. Absolutely insane. Let me calm down. Okay. I did want to highlight Tish, though. She is actually running for mayor in California. Okay. So here is her X account. It is listen, the number 2 Tish. And this account is being used for campaign purposes for Hyman. That's her last name, for mayor 2026. So she is running. I'm not sure. I guess they do their voting in November because I know some of these elections, they're primaried and different things. I'm not sure if she's running as a Democrat or an independent. She may be running independent, but you can go to her X account and here she says, hey, here goes, guys. I fixed the sound. Just make sure whoever you vote for in June knows what a woman is. Biological men are not women. And see, here's the thing. When you question certain Democrats, they'll be like, oh, those people are just less than 1% of the population. So we don't even, not that they don't consider them, but they're just like, yes, their issue is important, but there's other things. They'll divert the conversation because even, what's his name? Gavin Newsom has been caught on a hot mic saying that. Okay. But, oh my gosh, they will make it a whole issue running in a campaign to get maybe the sympathy vote or maybe to get some more support. It's weird. How are you going to allow less than 1% of the population determine 90% of your party? And I'm not wrong. You've got a representative in the House that's on 2 different committees that support a cult. Supports gender affirming care, supports actually making human beings into eunuchs. Ro Kahana, say his name loud. He needs to be removed, and anybody like him. Like 2026 needs to be a referendum on the midterms. And I'm not saying vote Republican over Democrat. What I'm saying is you need to vote common sense over nonsense. Okay, the people that continue this cult behavior need to be removed from the halls of Congress, or we're only going to get more of this death and destruction. Get it out of Washington. Get it out. Weed it out. We already know how demonic Washington is already. This is only making it worse. It's sad. It's scary. I want things to definitely start changing here in America. But that gentleman, he's got to go. He's got to go, and anybody like him. Okay. So with that, we're going to take a quick break. And when we return, we're going to get into some more of this news. So thank you so much for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News. And I will see you on the other side.
A life empowered is closer than you think. We're all looking for a better way. Reimagine what's next with a new sense of exuberance. Why not power on like you mean it? or power off blissfully. A better sleep is a better awake. You've never moved like this before. With the energy nature intended. Imagine reprogramming the way you look at the speed of science. At longevity. At exhilaration. It's next level rejuvenation. Take your well-being from the inside out and outside in. The light within is ready to ignite. Be the light. LifeWave.
And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. My name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols, and I will be your host. And so, yes, that commercial was for LifeWave. That is actually a product that I use, X39. They are cellular patches to release the cellular regeneration of your own body. So it's a lot of people are into stem cells and stem cell regeneration. And so you can check out and find out more about that on my website, lifewave.com/Noni CMS LLC. That's lifewave.com at Noni CMS LLC. There are also different products outside of the X39 patch. So definitely check it out. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me at unfilteredvisionnews@gmail.com. And I also wanted to share with you guys my app. So if you are wondering where the long form versions or content of these shows are, they are actually on this app here. So you can go to unfilteredvisionnews.com and check out and subscribe, right? It is, news through a Christian lens. I know sometimes I do have videos where people are saying, profanity. I try to do the best I can for people to not say things like that. But sometimes I use those videos to get the point across. I'm trying to use, what do they call? It's called a curse corrector or something like that. It takes out some of those epithets. But again, you can check me out on unfilteredvisionnews.com. I am still working on just making separate content that you're not going to find on YouTube at all. And so it'll be uploaded through YouTube, but you can only get the content actually here on my app. I'm not associated with like Substack and all those other different platforms. The content, full content, lives here. So there's pricing. We're definitely, looking for some more subscribers. And I'm looking for the first 100 subscribers. And you can lock in your pricing at $1.99 a month or $20 a year. And if if you come in after the first 95 subscribers, then it's $4.99 a month or $50 a year. And that supports the channel, right? We also have merch. Got my new album that I dropped last year on September 5th, Divine Echo Collective. The title of the album is Heaven Touch Earth, and that is a Christian album. We also have, again, like I said, merch. We've got our Faith line, hats, t-shirts, sweatshirts. So you can see onesies for the little ones, notebooks, and also UVN merch, which is Unfiltered Vision News. You can get hat, sweatshirt, mugs, and the like. So definitely check out the website. And if there's anything or merch that you guys think you would like to, try out or see, please let me know. And I can maybe design something special for you. So again, unfilteredvisionnews.com. And that actually helps to support the channel. So now let's get back into some more of this crazy news. So, yesterday I played a video for you guys where they were talking about Somalia kind of claiming Minnesota is like the new Somalia or something weird. Well, I came across another video where I guess a Somali gentleman, I'm not sure why he was kind of like in crash out mode, but he was like, America will become a Muslim country. And I was like, what? Huh? Say what? Let's just check out this video because it was really interesting. I don't know if there's any profanity in it. If there is, I apologize ahead of time. But yeah, let's check this out.
It's coming to America. Islam's coming to America? Yes, it's coming. Wait, is this going to be one day America will become a Muslim state, a Muslim country. Really? Tell Trump. That's never going to happen. Yes, it will happen. Never going to happen. God is powerful. It's never going to happen. God is powerful. Is that what everybody here wants? You want to see that's one thing. Our goal is to make America Islam. Really? Islamic state. Yes. Look. God is powerful. It's never going to happen. You control the heart of Americans. God guides whom He wills. Over my dead body will just become an Islamic. يريدون ليطفئوا نور الله بأفواههم والله متم نوره ولو كره الكافرون.
Okay, someone like that, you got to go. you got to go. Okay? Because see, we're not a theocracy here. We have freedom of religion. Now, I know a lot of people will be like, well, everybody always calls us a Christian country, and we do have Christian values, right? Some of those things we're set up under Christian values. Melanie kind of blew my mind the other day. I was watching a video. I was like, huh? Maybe not everything was founded on Christian values. Maybe that's why things are so ruffled on this nation, right? But for the most part, people have grown up understanding there's one God over this nation. Now, is everybody required to worship the same? No. That is why we have all these different religions. You've got Christianity, you've got Buddhism, you've got people that practice Islam. You even have people that are Luciferians. They worship Satan. They do. Okay, happens on the soil. We got freedom of religion. We do not impose our religious beliefs on other people. You're not supposed to do that. But in certain Islamic countries, they do, and they kill people that are Christians, specifically. Christians running around killing Islamists? I'm going to have to see. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out because that is the mindset that's going around with some of these individuals. And it's really, really interesting. Now, I've got a few articles here that are more breaking news type articles where there was a bust of a fake racket with over 100,000 forged certificates. So, people are still trying to get their citizenship in different parts of the world. But, yeah, it's very interesting. Let's see if I can find it. Did I download it? Let's see, those two. Got those two. Maybe I didn't download it. Okay, my bad. I didn't download it. We will have to cover that one tomorrow. And that's okay. We can actually cover another article that I didn't get to cover yesterday, which is there are new bank changes that have been put into effect. And this is something that everybody really needs to pay attention to.
There have been two massive changes that banks have quietly made that has changed banking forever. And if you don't know about these changes, this could be detrimental to your credit scores. Now, one of the major changes that the banks made will affect over 17 million people and can potentially get them denied for credit and loans. And the second major change that the banks have made quietly could get your accounts shut down, including your credit card accounts. So we're going to jump into the first major change you need to know about. The Department of Justice and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau announced today that they have withdrawn a joint statement regarding the implication of a creditor's consideration of an individual immigration status under the Equal Credit Opportunity Act. On October 12, 2023, the agencies published a joint statement cautioning that the creditor policies related to an applicant's immigration or citizen status could, in certain circumstances, run afoul of the ECOA's and Regulation B prohibiting discrimination on the bias of protected classes, including race and national origin. The agencies withdrew the statement to avoid any conflict with express language of the ECOA and its implementing Regulation B. ECOA and Regulation B retrospectively permit creditors to consider pertainment elements of credit worthiness and information necessary to protect the creditor's right and remedies, including a borrower's immigration or citizen status. Agencies also believe withdrawal is appropriate to avoid any confusion that lenders may legitimately consider immigration status under several circumstances, including when necessarily to avoid financial risk to comply with other laws. In addition, withdrawal is appropriate to address any misexpressed that the joint statement interprets 42 U.S.C. 1981 to confer any liability under the status that has not already been recognized by courts. Finally, the agencies believe withdrawal is appropriate to avoid any unnecessary burdens from new or increased compliance efforts. Now, this change can really have a major effect on over 17 million people who's here legally in the United States through a green card or even a visa, because thus the combined numbers of the research of those that are in a legal status. And now banks can consider that for your credit applications of giving you loans and approvals. Now, with that change, that may lead to even these people that have credit card accounts and loans to possibly be called in, because now with the environment in the United States of the real focus on deportations, banks may consider it risky if a person, even of a legal status of being here, get an actual criminal record. They may be deported, even though they were legal prior to. And how could they collect on that loan or credit card account? So if that person is deported, the bank can see that as a possible risk where they can't get the money back on that loan or that credit card and recoup. So now this can be looked at as a potential reason for a bank to deny people like that mortgages, loans, even car loans. So this can get certain people denied for credit, which can have a negative impact on their everyday life. And even worse, if they shut down accounts, it can really taint their credit scores. Now, the second major change is the tracking of cash transactions over $200. Now, this is going to be another major change tied into immigration, because after the federal government has been really focused on fraud in the case of the Feeding Our Children Foundation, which is the case out of Minnesota. Now, the main person over that was an American citizen. But on the flip side, the majority of the people in that case was of Somali descent. And what's believed that a lot of those payments were sent overseas and supported a terrorist group. So now a lot of payments are being tracked in the United States, especially by banks. Even under the Biden administration with his DOJ, there was a major case with TD Banks with the drug cartels and Chinese gangs. And with this, they were doing money laundering, and TD Bank didn't take action. And the Biden DOJ even gave them a huge record fine that now have many banks very skittish because they don't want this kind of penalty. So any movement of cash going in your bank, coming out of your bank account, or even being wired can be flagged for suspicious activity and money laundering, including your credit cards. And so many people are seeing their credit card accounts shut down, their bank accounts frozen. That even happened to me, just for simply depositing money in your bank accounts because of these flags. Now, if that happened with your credit cards, this can devastate your credit score. Now, with my elite credit system, users like Sean have gotten great results. He went from a 612 credit score all his citizenship in the United States. It can lead to denials for credit. And as you apply for accounts, that create hard inquiries, and it can decrease your credit score. And you need credit in order to get housing, in order to even get a car or transportation, and in some cases, employment. So this can be financially a hardship to you and your family. So you want to know about these rules, and you want to make adjustments accordingly. So hopefully this information was helpful. If you have any questions or comments, leave it in the comment section. For more detailed questions from me, you can go to my website.
Yeah, she's great. And I'll definitely make sure to link her information. But wow. Yeah, so a lot of people here that could have the potential to be deported, it's cracking down financially. Then my bigger question is, I wonder if ICE is going to actually use some of that information because, yeah, can they get that information from banks? I don't know. I don't know how private it is. I'm just saying. Just saying. But here's my thing. How are people from foreign countries even coming here getting loans with our banks? You know what I mean? Like, you're not even a stable citizen here. Like, how are you even doing this in the first place? Oh, yeah, that ITIN number that works very similar to a social security number. Yeah. And they were just giving those things out like candy, right? You get one, you get one, you get one, going back to Oprah, you get a car, you get a car. Yeah. Just devastating our country. Just devastating us. My goodness. Now, the next bit of news I wanted to get into, these are some food recalls. And this happened, I guess, about a week ago or so. And I heard about it yesterday and I was like, yeah, definitely need to cover that on my show. And April Showers, thank you so much for joining us this morning and reposting the stream. Appreciate you. And Spud McKenzie says, some women. I know, right? And Bloodpox says, he makes me hate immigrants and politics. I'm sure you're talking about Representative Ro Khanna. Very interesting, right? Very, very interesting. And it's really sad because you really want people to do well, right? That come here from other parts of the world. But here's the problem. Not everybody should be in politics, right? In a country that they are not from. I'll say it that way, because you can see what's happened in England and in different places, heavily populated Muslim parts of England. England's not England anymore. It's been overrun by people who are of Islamic faith, in my opinion, and they've turned it into a theocracy because they base it on their Islamic faith. They are not looking at the parliament as it is established. They've interwoven their religious beliefs into the political system, and that's a theocracy. And that's what we don't want here. That's just one of the levers that I'm looking at. The other thing I'm looking at is just social and moral values. A lot of people from outside of the United States do not share our social and moral values. And they want ours to change as if we're the degenerate ones when they're supporting cults. The only reason you're supporting the cult is because you want to be with the Democratic Party because you thought, okay, this is a better party to be with. I can just kind of get in really easy and they'll support me as long as I go along with the crazy stuff. That's why a lot of Muslims are over in there. That's why a lot of people that are from outside of this country are in there. Now, I'm not saying some of them are in the Republican Party too, because there are. But let's keep it 100. People that are not of the soil should not be in politics. They really shouldn't be because they don't carry American values. They do not have a loyalty to this country. They have a loyalty to their own countries. And they kind of want us to mimic where they're from. Like, you left there, go back there. If it's so awesome and wonderful, hey, have at it. I will open the door for you and buy you a ticket to go back home. Okay, you don't have to be here. Now, before I get to the food recall, I really wanted to go back and touch on the SAVE Act because that representative, Becca Bellant she is from Vermont. What she was speaking on, right, was the SAVE Act. And her argument is it would disenfranchise so many women. Well, so I'm like, okay, now Democrats know what a woman is. That's why I played all those videos like, oh, you know what a woman is now. Now you know, now that it's useful to you, right? That you can argue with, you can use a woman for an argument. I would love to ask her, so what's your definition of a woman? Huh? Because if a man shows up trying to pretend that he's a woman, he might not get the vote. Is that what we're doing? Is that the argument we're having now? Right? Framing it as a hypocritical for Republicans who talk nonstop about protecting women. They are protecting women, right? To support a bill that creates such barriers. What are these barriers? While the video doesn't delve into specifics, it highlights the act's overall voter registration requirements as the source of the burden, drawing from the bill's text and analysis of its provisions. Okay, so here are key areas that could disproportionately affect women, particularly those who have changed their names due to marriage or divorce, right? A common occurrence affecting an estimated 69 million American women who lack citizenship documents matching their current legal name. Well, let me read this again. 69 million American women who lack citizenship? What are you talking about? I'm a citizen. Huh? Oh, that's right. This is not about us, American women. This is about people who aren't even supposed to be here. This is about them. This is about those women. Okay? This is about them. Because you're not going to have a birth certificate from the United States. And that's going to be a problem for you. And you're not going to be able to register to vote. Yeah. It's that part. It's that. Okay, so documentation requirements for proof of citizenship. The SAVE Act amends the National Voter Registration Act of 1993 to mandate documentary proof of United States citizenship for registering to vote in federal elections. Acceptable forms include passport, okay, a real ID, compliant driver's license or ID card, though these do not explicitly indicate citizenship and are available to non-citizens. Exactly. They can get a driver's license. They can get an ID card. And it does not show if they're a citizen or not. The assumption is that they should be a citizen if they have a driver's license. If they have an ID, that could still be questionable, right? But even on their passport, it will state the country and origin that they are from. Get a passport. But you can't get a U.S. passport if you're not a U.S. citizen. That's a thing. This is a thing. Just saying. Now, military ID paired with a service record showing U.S. birth. Other government issued photo IDs showing U.S. birth or such IDs combined with additional documents like a birth certificate, hospital birth record, adoption decree, consular report of birth abroad. That means you're not from here. Naturalization certificate or certain tribal cards. So if you don't have a naturalization certificate and you're trying to, get or prove your citizenship, it's going to be really difficult for you. It's going to be difficult for you because you're not a citizen. Let's keep this one. Stop using people. Stop using Black people, and now stop using women, because we already know your precious voter block is about to be deported. That's what this is all about. This is about numbers. It's about bodies and numbers. Okay, now here's the thing. Burden on women. Women who have changed their names after marriage, it's not a burden, because I'm grateful to be married. My husband's amazing, right? But the paperwork part, it can be a little bit like, oh, you got to play the waiting game. You got to get this, but you can get it done in like 60 days or less. You can get your name updated at the Social Security office in 2 weeks. Stop that. Okay. Women who have changed their names after marriage often face mismatches between their birth certificates, which list their maiden name, okay, and current ID or passports, which use their married name. Okay, it's still you. Stop that. This requires obtaining and submitting extra linking documents, such as a marriage certificate, to resolve discrepancies. That's what you have to do. That's what I had to do even when I updated my Social Security card. I had to take my marriage certificate. I had to take my Social Security card. I had to show them my driver's license and, even a piece of mail to prove that I was who I said I was. What are we talking about? Okay. This requires obtaining and submitting extra linking documents, such as a marriage certificate, to resolve discrepancies. The bill's strict criteria for birth certificates must include full name, date, place of birth, parents' names, official signature, seal, and filing date. What's the problem? You should have this. Exacerbating this, as many women lack ready access to updated provisions. Are you high? Stop that. If you are a mother and you have a human on the planet, you better keep some good records. What? Even if you don't have a small human and you just got married, really? You can order this stuff online. What are we talking about? Faux outrage. That's where I'm at. This can lead to registration denials or delays, effectively creating a paperwork penalty that other voters avoid. Stop it. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. Stop. Let's just say y'all want to cheat. You want to force as many bodies as possible. You don't want voter ID. You don't want it because you can't not cheat. Just say it. Come on. Now, in-person presentation and alternative process. If an applicant lacks immediate documentary proof, the Act allows states to establish alternative processes, such as signing an attestation of citizenship under penalty of perjury, which means you would go to a different type of a notary that attests or affirms who you are, and you have a document notarizing stating that you're a citizen under penalty of perjury. Now, here's the deal with that. If it's found out that you've lied, it's immediate deportation forever. Forever. Like, you don't even get a chance to come back. Like, you're done. It's over. Now, submitting other evidence of citizenship for review by election officials who must sign their own affidavit justifying approval. So yes, you could go in person. Now, if everybody's in on it, the lie, if they're lying, everybody's going to prison if this is found not to be true. Or you're going to come up with a process to affirm people. In my opinion, if you are here and you are naturalized, you do not have an issue. You do not have anything to worry about. Your paperwork should match up. You actually should be able to apply for a U.S. passport and you're good. What are we talking about? And most people that get naturalized, they do have passports because it's an easier form of documentation, which means your name has been run through the system, you've been vetted, you've been approved, you're good. What are we talking about? 69 million women it's going to affect. That's 69 million voters, and you ain't got that. Shut it down. Stop. Now, for mail in or online registration via the federal form, proof must often be presented in person at an election office or polling place by specific deadlines, including on election day in states with same day registration. Burden on women. These extra steps impose time, travel, cost barriers, disproportionately affecting women who are caregivers, live in rural areas, potentially requiring hours of travel, or face financial constraints. Fees for document replacements like passports, which cost $130. Why is that a burden if you had one in the first place? Why is it a burden now? Stop that. Low income women, women of color, why are we being brought into this nonsense? Stop that. And younger women are hit hardest as they are less likely to have readily available documents. That is a complete lie. The process also risks subjective denials by officials, adding uncertainty and potential disenfranchisement. Stop it. It's faux outrage. I'm sorry. I'm calling faux outrage. Complete FAUX outrage. Stop it. Changes to voter registration methods. The Act applies these requirements across all registration channels, including driver's license applications. DMV must verify citizenship and collect proof. I like it. That's what I'm talking about. Y'all giving out CDLs like the candy to people who can't even drive a car here, least of all a rig traveling down our highways and byways, and people getting killed because they don't know what they're doing, because they're not even properly trained how to drive these big rigs. They're just putting them out. They're just putting them out there, just making money on the back end. It's disgusting. Now, voter registration agencies, what? Public assistance offices must ask about citizenship and require proof. Yay! That's what I'm talking about. Mail or online forms proof must be provided in person if not included. It also enables voter roll purges based on citizenship discrepancies and requires federal agencies to share data with states within 24 hours of verification. You know why they have to do that? Because there are people that cross state lines and vote in other states besides the one that they're living in. Yes, this happens all the time because see, there's 19 states that don't require ID. And people know that. And they go to these other states and they vote in other people's elections where they don't belong. And that is not verified. I want some verification. I want some conflict searches. Do we have people that are just have a faux address at a parking lot somewhere that are on the voter rolls, right? As a real person in that state? Because see, the crazy part, I live here in Georgia. I lived in Georgia since 2017. 2 years ago, I got a card in the mail from California asking me, "Are you going to be voting in our elections this year?" I'm like, "I've been here in Georgia. Why are you sending me a voter registration card from California?" Now, if I was a deceitful person, I could have just marked, "Yeah, I'll be voting," and they would have mailed me everything. And I could have voted in an election, wouldn't even have to get off the couch. That's what's happening for real. And it's a disgrace. It needs to stop. Okay, so the burden on women here. This overhaul could disrupt convenient registration options like online or mail in, forcing in person visits that burden working women or those without flexible schedules. Name changes from marriage or divorce often trigger registration updates, pulling women back into the cycle of documentation hurdles. Overall, it could affect 21 million eligible citizens. That means people that are not citizens, right? Without easy access to required docs, with women comprising a significant portion due to name change prevalence. Stop blaming the name change. If you are who you say you are, you should have the documentation to vote in our elections. If you are not a naturalized citizen, you shouldn't be voting in our elections anyway. So again, in my opinion, it's just a way for Democrats to cheat. They don't want to pass it because they want their voting block here. Y'all done gave them everything: housing, clothing, food, money. The gravy train is running out. And y'all are trying to figure out how to keep it here. So you need the bodies and the numbers. That's why you don't want to pass this. There are people in mass, even on the Democratic side, that want the SAVE Act put in place. And you're not listening to them, Democratic Party. You don't care. You don't care. And any Republicans that are not getting this pushed over the line, you don't care either. Because for people in the Senate to say it's going to die in the Senate, we're just not going to push it through. We need to remember exactly who these people are. Chuck Schumer needs to be primaried and removed. I don't want him replaced by AOC. Somebody else has got to get in there and save New York. Okay? That's where we're at now. Save New York, because y'all are just lost. It's bad. Now, critics argue these provisions solve a non-issue, right? Non-citizen voting is rare. No, it's not. It's not rare. It's prevalent. It's because they're not marking that they're not citizens. They're marking that they are. And people should know that they are not from here. But it's never challenged and it's never looked into. While imposing unfunded burdens on states and voters, supporters maintain it's essential for election integrity, but the video underscores the perceived irony in its impact on women. Perceived irony, exactly. It's very crazy. Very crazy. But here is the SAVE Act. I will make sure to put that link in the description when I repost for the show. So far it has passed in the House. It's had 2 recall votes, right? The actions that have occurred so far. Now this, it was received in the Senate last year in April. Let's see. Oh no, sorry. It was introduced in the House in January of last year. Made its way up to the Senate last year. Now I know that there's a I don't want to call it a SAVE Act 2, but that's what they're calling it. So there's more than one of these that they're trying to press through. Let's see. Let me go back to the home screen. I just clicked on that one because I saw it and I was like, all right. But again, the SAVE Act, it needs to go through. I will make sure to link it in the description so you guys can, make the calls to your senators. I know here in Georgia, we are definitely working on some voter registration and voter vote paper ballots maybe coming back. And when I'm saying paper ballots, I'm not talking about, okay, like a big sheet of paper and fill it out. No, they are electronic machines, but what they do is they keep a printed tabulation. I think that might be a hybrid that they are considering, because those machines are not online. They're just strictly there. And I've actually used them when I lived in California. And they're very good machines. And the cool part is it actually gives you a physical printout of who you voted for. So you know you have an actual receipt. It's like you would get a receipt from a store and it's yours. And then the other part of that receipt stays in the machine. And so they can actually go over it and they can certify every single vote and have it match up electronically to the paper vote. So, like I said, I'm hoping we'll get to that. I never heard about major issues with those types of machines. So, again, here's hoping. Here's hoping. Now, let's get to this food recall situation going on. I'm going to play you guys the one from LA first, and then the other one from It's called like First Post America and their coverage.
Consumer alert here. Nearly 2,000 products were recalled after the FDA found rodent and bird contamination at a distribution facility. It's for grocery items like Cheerios, Skittles, and Pringles. Also pet food like Purina dog chow and Purina cat chow. And over-the-counter items like Advil, Benadryl, and Claritin. A full list is on the FDA's website. The FDA urges consumers to destroy affected products immediately and not return them. Refunds are available. Products distributed in Indiana, Minnesota, and North Dakota may pose health risks like salmonella, though no illnesses have been reported.
Interesting. Indiana, Minnesota, and South Dakota. Okay, I'm in Georgia, so maybe we don't have anything to worry about, but let's check out this other video and make sure that it is definitely isolated to those particular areas.
Nearly 2,000 popular items have been recalled after federal health officials found signs of rodent and bird contamination at a U.S. warehouse. According to the FDA, inspectors found rodent droppings, rodent urine, and bird waste in areas where food, medical items, cosmetics, and pet products were stored. But in some cases, the risk could be far more serious. The scale of the recall is huge. The products were sold at over 50 retail locations across Minnesota, Indiana, and North Dakota. And some of the most recognizable brands in American kitchens are on the list. Food items include Nutella, Cheerios, Rice Krispies, Special K, Lucky Charms, Jif Peanut Butter, Pringles, Skittles, Snickers, Twix, Haribo Gummy Bears, and Takis. Popular drinks like Coca-Cola, Diet Coke, Gatorade, Smart Water, Arizona Iced Tea, and Fiji Water were also affected. Well, the recall does not stop at food. Several medical products have also been flagged. These include Tylenol, Advil, Excedrin, Benadryl, Dayquil, Hall's vitamin C drops, and Mentos vitamin gum. Even personal care items like deodorants, pregnancy tests, and pet food have been part of the recall, caused by possible rat transmission. For now, the FDA says it's continuing to monitor the situation. No major outbreaks have yet been reported. But the warnings are clear. If any of these products are sitting in your home, for now, the safest place for them, according to the FDA, is not on your shelf, but in your bin.
Yeah. Ew. Ugh. That's just nasty. It's gross. It's like, what? Why? Why? Ugh. You know, we are a first world country. I would think we could do better. But these things, and I don't want to say they happen all the time, but I think they had to say something about it because of the amount of products that it affected, right? Because there's always going to be some type of contamination. But it's one of those things, how much contamination isn't overburdensome, right? How much contamination can people kind of deal with? And I'm actually trying to find the link right now as we speak, and I'll have to probably do a little bit more research because I always want to try to give you guys like, okay, those were the articles done by the let me get rid of this. It's messing up my feed. Those are the articles done by those two different anchors on TV, but I want you to have the actual links to the FDA that are actually talking about these foods, because here's what you don't want to find. Let's say we're in July, August, we're all sitting around, we're chilling. It's summer. They'll be like, yeah, remember those recalls that we talked about earlier? Yeah, actually, they affected half the country, huh? You know what I mean? Like, this is something we got to stay on top of, because for it to just affect 3 states, that's weird. I'm like, just those 3? Are you sure about that? That many products? And it's just those 3? I'm questioning that. I know that the FDA needs to do better, but I'm questioning that because we already know we have contaminants in our food already. But the rat droppings and all this other stuff, that's just disgusting. That just makes me like, ugh. Ugh. We need to do better. We need to do better for our people. But thank you guys for joining me here. And Blood Pock says we used to want them to do good. Yeah, our politicians. And Beyond Skeptical says even the homeless knows they need an ID to buy smokes and booze. Come on, right? Right. Somebody living on the street, they have some form of ID. Because even when they have to get assistance at the homeless shelters, they have to have some form of ID. Right. And some of them actually use the shelter's address so that they have an address. And this was something that came up. I want to say it was either in the 2016 or 2018 election. It was before 2020, where they had discovered that mass amounts of homeless people that had IDs registered to a homeless facility. And that's how they were able to vote because they're homeless. How do the homeless vote? Well, they use the ID of the shelter, right? That they're near or that shelter that allows them to use their address. And there you go. There's a vote. Just saying. Now, with the SAVE Act, that's probably going to shut a lot of that down because people are going to have to prove that they have a place to live. And it's not going to be, I don't know if a shelter is going to be allowed to be used as an address. So these are good questions that we need to ask. Like, is that going to be the new emotional support pet for the Democratic Party? Homeless people not being able to get driver's licenses? I'm just saying, or ID cards. It's going to be interesting. And Beyond Skeptical says, isn't that what the I-9 was for? Right. To verify identity upon hiring. I want to know about the E-Verify system. Yeah, they I don't want to say E-Verify is a joke, but E-Verify does not cross-reference nor does it do a conflict search to find out if someone is actually a citizen. All E-Verify does is say it asks you for your documentation, and then you basically give the system that documentation and you have somebody else that you know verify you. That's it. But it does not do a conflict search with the actual immigration database to see if you are an actual citizen. So let's just say if E-Verify worked this way, I do my paperwork, somebody signs off and says they attest to who I say I am. Okay, great. If we took it a step further and said, okay, now we need to run this document in a conflict search within the database for DHS or immigration, I should clear, right? Because I'm a U.S. citizen. But to say I'm not a U.S. citizen, it would probably get flagged. Because if I'm not naturalized, but there's somebody over here saying that they're attesting and affirming that I can work here, that I am who I say I am, and that I'm verified as a citizen, that person will be flagged for deportation. And that's what I'm saying. E-Verify doesn't go far enough. It goes to the point of somebody just affirming and attesting and saying you are who you say you are. But it doesn't go further than that. So I hope that I answered your question, Beyond Skeptical, on that one. We can do better. And the SAVE Act is a way to get there. But again, they don't want that because that's going to mess up their voter block. It is what it is. They don't like it. You ain't got to like it. So you want to use, people of color and women and oh my gosh, the sky is falling down if you guys actually have to get proper ID to vote. Do you know how crazy you sound? It's just sad. But anyway, thank you guys for joining me here on Women in Wellness Wednesday on Unfiltered Vision News. We'll be back tomorrow with Mighty Men Thursday. So it is going to be open mic. So if there are any men out there that would like to join the broadcast, give their input, let me know what you would like to talk about. That would be great. So again, thank you so much for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News. And remember, stay well, stay focused, and stay unfiltered. We'll see you in the next one.